All right, man. I just checked out your video. I had a few thoughts on it. Um, Basically, there's this weird balance between players and people who just buy games. And the sad truth is that we need all these various different types of peoples to keep the gaming community going. Like, you need players, hardcore people, whatever you want to call it, because those are the people who, when they get a particular game, they are going to play it, for extended periods of time, learn everything about the game, and these are the people who will very heavily criticize any flaws, or especially if there are sequels, and they'll really voice their opinion about what they like, what they don't like, and they'll explain in detail. It just won't be like, for a casual person, just I don't like how this guy's shirt looks or something like that. These people are very detailed as far as playing, and they need people like that, and they know that. That's why they cater to everybody, like what you considered as casual or just gamers, people who just buy every single game that comes out. Uh, these people, I kind of hate because there's a whole nother sub segment just concerning them, because not everyone there is rated equal, I guess, to to uh, to make sense out of it, because some people who do buy a lot of those games, they do that because either they don't have time to play them uh, back to back all the time, so they buy a lot of games, but they actually plan on playing it and seeing whether they like it. Whereas you have some of these mindless drones or fanboys, like let's take for instance Halo, who will just buy anything and everything Halo. But the sad truth of that is that the industry needs people like that, because that's where they get their money from. These people are not going to spend, 20 million, close to $1 billion on sets, the programming, uh, the money it costs to pay all these people to produce all these different types of games for each. I don't know how many gaming companies are out there, but it gets very expensive, and so they need people who they know are just gonna buy this stuff regardless of whether they like it or not. And I think no matter how hardcore you are or how casual you are, you're gonna fluctuate in between the two. Like, I'm a big fan of Metal Gear Solid. I'm not a particular fan of a lot of the some of the Game Boy games that they came out with. I'm not a fan of those. I guess I'm kind of more of what I would call purist. I stick to the console releases, and not even all those are my favorite in the series. In fact, I think one of my least favorite is Metal Gear Solid 3, but I'd have to explain that in another video. But they need people like that, because if we just buy a game and then that's it, and then we don't say we don't say anything about it, we just play it hardcore and we don't buy anything else. Who's gonna buy? Let's say there's another director under Hideo Kojima who's good, but he's making an entirely different game. We wouldn't even pay attention to that. We'll just say, is it by Hideo Kojima? No. Well, then we're not gonna buy it. We need people who, because he's associated with Hideo Kojima, we're gonna at least check out what the game is like. So it's a very weird. I mean, it's a very weird balance, because the sad truth, or just the real truth, is that for the gaming community, or any community in general, to continue to prosper, is that you need people from all spectrums. Because when you lose that, you get, like what happened in the 80s, you get this huge drop off, where gaming companies go out of business, and it's not a fun time if you're really a fan of the playing games and whatnot. You kind of have to accept that. Now, your personal opinions on that, I mean, some of them I agree with. I can't stand some of these casual people. In one of my videos, I stated gaming for the longest time was not popular until I'd say around PlayStation 2 and Xbox era, and that was in my middle to late years of high school. But before that, you couldn't just walk around talking about video games, even if and people knew about it. It just wasn't the cool, popular thing to do. And now that and while I kind of miss those times, because people seem to at least from what I saw, respect the gaming. People who are in the know respected it more than the masses and masses of people who say they're fans, but they're only recent fans, and then they pretend like they've been retro because they played Mario maybe twice when they were little kids. And this bleeds into so many different things. Like, I personally can't stand bandwagon hoppers. Like all these bandwagon hoppers with the whole comic book movies. People were saying they were Batman fans and Transformer fans since day one, but they only recently, started expressing themselves about how they like all this stuff. Where there's been people who've been doing it for years, being laughed at. Then they make a new Batman movie, and all of a sudden, Batman is considered the greatest movie of all time. The Dark Knight, the greatest movie of all time, which is nonsense. But that's a whole nother subject. But that's my basic thoughts and responses to that particular segment in your video. But again, excellent video. Keep up the good work. Peace.